Two cops mistakenly arrested a black man, an FBI agent undercover, on brown shirt and blue jeans, accused him of stealing a bike. But there's a shocking twist. This man in question is no ordinary citizen. He's an FBI agent working undercover. Watch as this intense, dramatic encounter unfolds, filled with tension, unexpected twists, and an ending you won't see coming. How far will racial profiling go? This story sheds light on the harsh reality many face daily. You won't want to miss the eye-opening moments that reveal the truth behind the arrest. Stay tuned to find out how the officers handle their huge mistake and how justice is served. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to be wrongly accused or have experienced injustice, this video will speak to you. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. Could you imagine this happening to you? Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be wrongly accused of something you didn't do? How would you react if two police officers suddenly stopped you, accusing you of a crime you had no knowledge of? James, a seasoned FBI agent, had no idea that this ordinary day in the city, dressed in nothing but a brown shirt and blue jeans, would turn into an absolute nightmare. He had worked undercover on dangerous missions, infiltrated high-profile criminal networks, but nothing could prepare him for what happened next. It all started like any other day. James was on an undercover assignment, casually walking through a busy part of town, blending in with the surroundings. His mission? To gather intel on a suspected arms dealer. But little did he know that he was about to become the target of a completely different kind of operation. James walked through the bustling streets, the sounds of the city humming around him. His mind was focused on his assignment, keeping track of the people he needed to follow. But suddenly, out of nowhere, two police officers in a patrol car spotted him. They slowed down, staring intently at his casual attire, brown shirt, blue jeans, and then one of them said, "That must be him." But who did they think he was? Why were they eyeing him so intensely? Before James could process what was happening, the officers jumped out of their vehicle, approaching him with a sense of urgency. "Hey you, stop right there." One of the cops barked, his hand resting on his holster, as if preparing for the worst. James complied, remaining calm but confused. "Is there a problem, officers?" James asked, trying to keep his cool. What would you do if the very people sworn to protect and serve suddenly treated you like a criminal? Without any explanation, one of the cops pointed at him and said, "We got a report of a stolen bike, and you matched the description. Brown shirt, blue jeans, just like you." James couldn't believe what he was hearing. A stolen bike? They thought he stole a bike? Him, a federal agent, in the middle of an active operation? This couldn't be real. As tension filled the air, James tried to explain, "Officer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. But before he could finish, one of the officers cut him off, aggressively grabbing his arm. The second officer, towering over James, started searching him without consent. Imagine standing there, knowing you're innocent, but no one listens to you. How would you feel in that moment? James's heart raced, but his training kicked in. He had to stay calm, but inside, he was fuming. He was being humiliated in public for no reason. The looks from passers-by only made it worse. People were stopping, watching this scene unfold, many with smartphones in hand, recording every second. How many times have we seen videos like this go viral? Another black man being unjustly targeted by law enforcement. "Officer, I'm telling you, I didn't steal any bike," James said, his voice stern but controlled. He knew better than to escalate the situation, but the officers weren't interested in hearing his side of the story. "We'll be the judge of that," one of them sneered, pulling out handcuffs. "Turn around." What would you do if you were cuffed and humiliated in front of a crowd, knowing full well you were innocent? James couldn't believe this was happening. He could easily blow his cover, but his mission was too important. Yet, he couldn't just let these cops drag him away like a common criminal. "You're making a mistake," he warned. "I'm FBI. I'm on assignment." But the officers laughed, one of them saying, "Yeah, sure. And I'm the President of the United States." The crowd started murmuring. People were confused, some even angry, but no one stepped in. They watched as the officers manhandled James, tightening the cuffs around his wrists. His FBI credentials were hidden in his jacket pocket, but the officers were too blinded by their assumptions to check. The The tension rose as James kept trying to explain. But the more he spoke, the more aggressive the cops became. "You think just because you throw around FBI that you're above the law?" one officer spat. "You're going downtown." As they dragged him toward the patrol car, James glanced around at the growing crowd. How many times had something like this happened to innocent black men across the country? How many people had suffered because of racial profiling? Have you ever experienced a moment where you knew you were right, but no one would believe you? That's exactly what James was feeling. The humiliation, the injustice, the sheer absurdity of it all was overwhelming. He wasn't just a victim, he was being dehumanized right there on the street. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, a woman rushed forward from the crowd. "Wait, he didn't steal anything. I saw the whole thing," she yelled. The officers paused, turning to her. "Are you sure?" one asked, clearly annoyed.
If you've watched this far, leave a 100 in the comment section because you are type of person that likes to finish what they started. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to get notified whenever we drop new videos. Now back to the story.
The woman holding her phone shook her head furiously. "I've been filming everything. He didn't take anything. The real thief went that way." She pointed down the street where a man in a hoodie had disappeared minutes earlier. The officers exchanged glances, but neither seemed eager to admit their mistake. What would you do if you had the proof that could clear your name, but no one seemed willing to use it? James, still in cuffs, sighed in frustration. "Check my pocket," he said, now more determined than ever to end this nightmare. One officer reluctantly reached into James's jacket and pulled out his badge. The color drained from their faces. FBI. This man was no bike thief. He was a federal agent. The silence was deafening as the realization hit them. Can you imagine the embarrassment they must have felt? The officers scrambled to undo the cuffs, stammering apologies. "We didn't know. We thought," one of them began. But James had heard enough. He stood tall, rubbing his sore wrists, eyes burning with anger and disappointment. How many times had this happened before, where someone wasn't as lucky as James? "I tried to tell you," James said coldly, "but you didn't want to listen." The officers were practically begging for forgiveness now, but it was too late. The damage had been done. James wasn't just going to let this slide. He made a mental note to report the incident, not just to his superiors, but to make sure these officers faced consequences. Do you think they deserve to get off the hook easily? What would you have done if you were in James's shoes? The crowd was still there, some people clapping, others shaking their heads in disbelief. The officers, red-faced and humiliated, tried to leave the scene as quickly as possible, but not before James caught one final look from them. A look that said they knew they had messed up, and badly. James didn't say another word. He didn't need to. The crowd had seen everything, and soon, the world would see it too. The woman with the phone had captured the whole ordeal, and James knew it was only a matter of time before the video went viral. How would you feel if you knew that your rights had been violated, and the whole world could finally see it? As James walked away, free but still shaken, he couldn't help but think of the countless others who had been in his position but didn't have the power or the platform to fight back. This wasn't just about him. This was about something much bigger. Justice, in that moment, wasn't just about getting those cuffs off. It was about making sure this never happened again. Not to him, not to anyone. What do you think? Should those officers face justice for what they did?